Okay, so this is the third review question for my AS Media production, and this one is: what kind of media institution might distribute your media product and why? Now, the main job of the distributor, they are responsible for the marketing of the film. So they decide how it's marketed, what the best way to advertise it is. They decide the best way for viewing. Should it be published in the cinemas? Should a DVD be made? Should it be made available for public viewing on TV? Those kinds of things. Especially, they can also make an assumption on how many copies of your DVD to make, judged on previous sales of similar films they've done with the same sort of budget and with the same sort of audience. And they take into account your cast, your budget. So if you've had a big budget, they'd probably expect more amount of views, and also if there's a cast member that's very popular, then you're also more likely to get more views. Now, one of the most important things when choosing which publisher to decide to go with is their experience with your genre of films and how well similar genres and similar films to yours have done when published by that company. Now, best way to do this is to look at the view counts, the amount of films in that genre that they have published, and whether they've been successful or not. So obviously, you wouldn't, for myself doing a crime genre, it would be a bad idea to choose a publisher that mainly promotes and publishes kids' films or something like Disney. I mean, that would be inappropriate for the genre of film. So there would no point being a serious film on a kids from a company that's stereotypically known to produce and publish a kids show or film. So it's very important to choose the right one. Now, again, as I said, the main thing is experience and how well they seem to do with publishing this film, and whether you feel that they'll be able to relate your film to others they've already published well. Because if they can get previous viewers of theirs to come over and think they did a good job on that film, so possibly this film will be good too. And again, there's that very similar link between having a familiar audience with the films that you choose and publish with the films that you'll go and view. So if you generally typically enjoy crime films and you know that a certain publisher are good with those crime films and they have a good reputation, you'll be more likely to go and see it. So the publisher that I decided would be most appropriate for my film and my genre would be Momentum Pictures. Now, there are other publishers, but I just felt this one, it just seemed good for what we liked. Especially they're one of the leading independent motion pictures distributors in the UK, and they release about 20 films a year, which for a start is quite a successful amount, and they obviously have quite a big publishing range and are quite popular with producers as such. Now, the main reason I chose this is because they've distributed many films of this genre before, and they also seem to do a very good job of linking crime films, which is what mine will be, with similar topics such as horror and thrillers. There seems to be a good link between how they advertise and promote the two or three separate film genres put together, because our film is it is a crime film, but at the same time it's going to be very dramatic and quite thrilling and suspenseful. So I felt that was appropriate, because obviously if we can reach a wider range of audience rather than just having, oh, they're good at crime films, we'll go and watch one of their films. I felt that having that sort of broader range of audience from Momentum Pictures would increase the amount of views that we have and also create a wider audience. They've also won multiple BAFTAs over the past few years, which I think is very helpful to us. Sorry, because obviously their films have a good reputation and they win lots of awards. So I felt that people would be able to trust this company to produce and publish a good film. Another pro about choosing Momentum as a publisher is the fact that they are a completely independent publisher, and also because myself, the film that we will be making is also an independent film. This basically means that all of the production is done outside of a major film studio system. So, for example, we made the films ourselves instead of being conjoined with a big studio that would usually produce these films. So we felt that they'd be able to relate to us in the fact that we're not a big company. We're just starting out, which is what they specifically look for. They help people. They help new upcoming producers able to publish their films, which is, I thought, was very helpful for us because that's exactly what we need. So when asked if I believed that this film could be published in just the UK or go nationally or globally eventually, I think that potentially it could go globally because the story and the plot could be relatable to absolutely anywhere. It doesn't just have to be the UK, and we don't have much of a specific target audience. So there's no reason why only a UK audience would understand the plot or be able to relate to the film at all, because literally anywhere can be involved in a crime film, because you have typically gangster films in New York, like the Mafia in wherever they are, and things like that. But there's no reason that our film can't be understood by a larger audience. Now, the only problem with that is the fact that Momentum Pictures is an independent publisher, which means that generally they don't tend to have many connections with outside other countries. So it would be harder for us to get links to be able to publish in other countries. It's not impossible, but it just would be harder by using an independent publisher. But I feel that eventually, if the film is popular, or if the film will be popular, that we could go on a global scale, because there's really not much reason why not, to be honest. If people like it, then we'll want to show it to a wide range of audiences as possible.